Hello, everybody. Hopefully, my audio is coming in loud and clear. We're not trying any funny shenanigans today. We're not playing any video games. We're just kind of jumping right into it. So, I swear to God, I am going to stream more. I promise. I promise. It's so hard. But here I am. So let's not waste the time. I found a Sci-Fi lot where I was out and about today, and I thought it would be neat. I thought a lot of the covers were really cool, so I kind of rearranged my setup here. Always make sure you can drink the coffee with the right hand, which is why the mic has to be on the left. Until I get one of those arm thingies, which I don't know if I want. But anyway, let's just jump right into the books. These aren't in any particular order. I've already gone through all these. There isn't any particular book in here that's going to be like, or anything like that. But I just thought it was neat. I thought some of these books I've read, a lot of them I haven't. And I just thought the art was just really, really cool. So anyway, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let the books talk. I might give some commentary if I have something to say. I always have something to say. So that's cool. I just love the art, man. Just like, does that not like everything that's awesome about the 70s and 80s? So that's cool. Mouse on the Moon. This is probably more humor than sci-fi. Love those old the Fawcett library books. They're really neat. This one was cool. This was Time Storm. I might actually hold on to this one, read it. It won the Hugo and the Nebula Awards. It's Time Storm. The marketing on the front says, "Time has gone mad. Is the end of the universe upon us?" Maybe. It is tomorrow and time has gone mad. Anyway, so I'm not going to do that with every book, I promise. Maybe. So this is real popular. Whenever I see any old movies in their book tie-ins, I generally pick it up. There's always someone feeling nostalgic. I feel nostalgic when I pick these things up. So just super neat. We all know that one. Great movie. Bum, ba, bum, bum. Anyway, I don't know the tune. And I get the tune from that movie and the Futurama episode mixed in my head. So this is a wonderful series. It's Hyperion, Rise of Endymion, the whole deal. Another Hugo award-winning novel. It's kind of hard to describe, but basically this Shrike dude is from like the future, and they go to this planet, and it's like a religious pilgrimage, and they go into all this detail and stuff. But I won't go into it much more than that. But I'll read the back on this one. On the world called Hyperion, beyond the law of the hegemony of man, capital letters, there waits the creature called the Shrike, and there are those who worship it. And he's the Lord of Pain, is his name. I won't read the whole thing. But super cool. By Dan Simmons. It's a whole series. This one I thought was neat. I don't know what the hell this is about or what. This is the sequel to First Flight. However, I did recognize the author, Chris Claremont of X-Men fame, for those of you who are nerds. I actually didn't know who Alan Dean Foster was. I actually have a huge stack of Alan Dean Foster. This is actually one of the duplicates. I didn't know he had written. He's wrote Star Trek and just all sorts of stuff. Now I don't know if he was like the original writer of Star Trek, because a lot of times they'll have people write, because there's like a bajillion books. They'll have multiple authors. I don't know if that's kind of deal. I need to learn more about this guy. I'm actually going to set that to the side, because apparently he's quite prolific. So this is a really cool sci-fi. I don't know if it's this way as much anymore, but like vintage sci-fi was like hypersexual. I mean, like, who does their makeup to put on a helmet, I guess? I don't know. Neat cover, different time. This is like 1960s awesomeness. I have the sister book to this. This is I think there's 3 overall in this kind of run, this collection of books. Wonderful covers, beautiful, vibrant, just a whole different vibe. You could tell how artwork changes over the time. I almost kept this one too. I'm not going to lie. I still might. It's pretty. It's good condition too. A couple of different authors: Bannister, Sheckley, Loomis. Loomis I've heard of, I think. Peace, Joan. Anyway. The Girl Who Fell from the Sky. This apparently was super popular. Winner of the Bellwether Prize. What the hell is the Bellwether Prize? Sorry, if you're going to watch these, you got to be prepared for a wee bit of ADD. Because this is how I learn stuff. People always ask me, how do you know so much random stuff? This is how. So the Bellwether Prize, which this won, the author's name is Heidi W. Duro. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The PEN Bellwether Prize for Socially Engaged Fiction is a career-founding prize which promotes fiction that addresses issues of social justice and the impact of culture and politics of human relationships. So this is a deep one. Oh, here's a review from the Denver Post. Like Catcher in the Rye or To Kill a Mockingbird, Duro's debut features voices that will ring in the ears long after the book is closed. It's a captivating and original tale that shouldn't be missed. I might have to read this. You're winning me over, Denver Post. Ooh, we got some writing and stuff. So when I find a great book, I generally pick it up, whatever condition it's in, as long as it's readable. Because I want someone to read it. I want to read it. So I just throw it like $1 on these things, just so you know. And there's always this like quality of books up in my booth. I think of myself as not so much as a book dealer, a bookseller, but more like a curator. There's this channel on the YouTube called Curator of the Lost that I watch. It's a gentleman who finds books and saves them from the trash, which is kind of how I look at this. But it looks like it's written and the chapters by people's names, so it might be like each chapter might be a story in of itself. I don't know. Seems like a quick one. Anyway, seems neat. I'll have to look that up. You know what? I have a computer sitting in front of me. Look at this. We live in Star Trek times, friends, but we don't really realize it. When the iPads and the iPhones first came out, I was totally that dude who was like, and then until it got old after a while. All right, so let's read. This is I should have pulled up Goodreads, but I didn't. So Rachel, the daughter of a Danish mother and a black GI soldier, becomes the sole survivor of a family tragedy after a fateful morning on the Chicago rooftop. Forced to move to a new city with her strict African-American grandmother as her guardian, Rachel is thrust for the first time into a mostly black community where her light brown skin, blue eyes, and beauty bring a constant stream of attention her way. So she's mixed. Danish is likely white. I wish you could see the screen. I didn't set it up to watch the computer. It's there as she grows up and tries to swallow grief that she comes to understand how the mystery and tragedy of her mother might be connected to her own uncertain identity. This searing and heart-wrenching portrait of a young biracial girl dealing with society's ideas of race and class is the winner of the Bellwether Prize. So that's kind of neat. You know, a mixed young lady. I'm mixed. It's different. You really kind of don't belong anywhere. The white people think you're brown, and the brown people they know you're not a real brown. So it's a little, you got to kind of carve your own path. Kind of reminds me of Tanis the Half-Elven, for those of you who've read Dragonlance. Kind of one of my idols growing up. Also, Drizzt, which I think, I got him somewhere. Anyway, Drizzt Stewart, and he's, I believe, Forgotten Realms. He's a drow elf, which are traditionally not very nice elves. They worship spiders and Lilith and all sorts of bad stuff. But he wanted to be a good dude, and so he decided to be a good dude, which ostracized him from his society. And so that sounds like that's kind of in this vein with less, elves. I will probably read that eventually. This is cool. Twilight Zone. It's the vintage one. I think this is either 80s or 70s. Anyway, what is it? Sedaris? Not Sedaris. That's a thinker dude, whatever those guys are called. God, what are his names? Saris? Serling, Rod Serling. That's who I'm thinking of. I'm sorry. So anyway, that's that of Rod Serling fame. Yep. So this apparently is from the same guy who wrote Jaws. One, I did not know it came from a book, so I learned something there, which is one of the reasons why being in the book biz is so cool. You just kind of amass random knowledge. So I didn't know that Jaws was a book, number one. Number two, I did not know that the author wrote 2 books. So apparently this one's about octopus, or octopi, I guess would be the plural there. Don't ding me, Facebook. I actually had a buddy in college, Matt Wider. God, I hope I bump into you again someday in life. But he was deathly afraid of cephalopods, and he would not have appreciated this book. So, but very cool. Some more paperbacks. Let me just stack them all up. Neat place. Did a great big book sale. I had a good old time. Brought the kids. Really awesome place. I am a sucker for this old fiction. So where do we start? So that's BioShock of BioShock fame. Those of you who know this, so I won't say much more about that. I don't know anything about this. It's just vintage sci-fi fantasy, and I'm into it. And apparently this one's more probably a historical fiction. Magic on the Streets of London. You had me at magic. I actually picked this up mostly because of the art cover. Look at that. Now, from a photographer standpoint, which, if you saw the intro, I am in my other life, this is really neat. Just so they would have done 2 shots, couple of shots. Just the mirror just looks like a gaping, screaming, like, it's just cool. It creeps me out. I like it. So if I like it, somebody else will like it, and that's kind of why I snagged it for somebody. Just really classic fiction, sci-fi cover. I kind of treat books like how I treat comic books. Gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. Coffee time. Let me pull you guys up, see if I got any chatters. No chatters. That's totally fine. I'm having a good time. It's neat. I love the art. It's just so neat. So I will read a little bit of the back here. It's called it says the planet was dying. Once Taylith was a luxuriant world of millions. Now it was a chill, arid wasteland with its remaining inhabitants clustered on a great ice mountain. In a few short solar cycles, its sun would blaze into a deadly supernova, racing against time, conquered the space. Anyway, I always lose my train of thought halfway through these things. It looks really good. So, again, just look at that art, yo. Like, it's got such great cyberpunk vibes. Like, is that the Pysaw bird? What is that? I don't know. It's cool, whatever it is. I mean, it says owl time, so I assume it's an owl. Just some, classic Robin Cook. One of the first, popular fictions books I read was by Robin Cook, was Toxin. It was about, like, how the food industry and some, like, doctor's kid ate a raw hamburger and got sick. And I tell you what, I went into the restaurant. The first iteration of my life, my 20s, was a restaurant manager. I was bar manager, the whole deal. And man, I lost my train of thought again. What was I saying? I need a chat to help me stay on task. But anyway, this is Frank Herbert. I believe he wrote Dune and all that stuff. So, and obviously, just an amazing cover. What was I just talking about? Man, that bugs me. Anyway, Isaac Asimov, Asimov. Anyway, again, just that cover is just killer. Like, a lot of times, like, I display these on the wall. Like, I'll get this like a little cellophane bag here, and I'll not close it so tight to allow me to put a push pin in it. And there you go. It's pretty rad. So just some vintage horror. Again, just that cover. And it's not in the best of shape. So I sell, like, like a buck. I just don't want it thrown away. I'm not trying to make a ton of money, you know. So, Sliders, one of my favorite shows as a kid. This was Rick and Morty before Rick and Morty, right? It is. I loved it. So the show's premise was this kid who's been in other stuff. I guess you can't see. Hold on. That one. I think his name was Q or Quinn or something like that. And Quinn Mallory. And he basically invented portal technology, but he couldn't control it. And so they would jump. They would call it jumping from reality, and that would be the show. It would be some whatever premise they were dealing in that new reality, which is, not like Rick and Morty. And I'm sure, interdimensional travel is not, and, multi-dimensional stuff. They didn't make it either, but just kind of feels Rick and Morty vibe. So this is neat. This is why I almost kept this one too. I'm just running out of space, so I got to be real picky. Robert A. Heinlein is he wrote Strangers in a Strange Land, one of the best books I've ever read. This one is called Friday. I didn't know this book existed, but basically the premise is, and again, remember, vintage sci-fi has a tendency to be very sensual. Let's just say that. And it's kind of a trope. So hopefully, if you're a reader, you know what I'm talking about. And the implication is enough, right? So but basically the premise is this I guess this lady on the cover, she's like a genetically engineered just to be better than humans in every way, and she's like a cyborg thing, and she's like an undercover agent, and she does I will read this one. Friday, which is the gal's name. Ooh, that's a little blown out. Oh, I guess it's reflective because of the cellophane. Anyway, Friday is a super being engineered from the finest genes and trained to be a secret courier in a future world of chaotic ferocity and intrigue. She can think better, fight better, and make love better than any of the normal people around her. Friday is all woman. She is as strong and resourceful and decisive as any Heinlein hero, and he's had a few. In addition, she is loving. I'm not making this up. It's in parentheses. Oh, yes. Yep, marketing. And tender and very, very female. What does that even mean, bro? Anyway, this, like so many of Heinlein's works, is as joyous to read as it is provocative. And that wonderful review was provided many, 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 many moons ago by Theodore Sturgeon of the LA Times. This was a main selection of the Playboy Book Club. Yep. Love it. So this is really cool. This book here, the art is done by Serenko, which if you're a comic person, that's a name that you know. So just really neat, just old vintage. The top of it says, "Beyond Indiana Jones, beyond Doctor Who, the incredible adventurer whose exploits span the stars, Dr. Bones." I love how ridiculous marketing people are. I say this as a marketing person. We're ridiculous. I make fun of us all the time. So this is in terrible condition. Again, saving it from the trash. Magic the Gathering. I'm an old school player. I was playing Magic before Pokemon was even a thing. And yes, I walk in the snow, both snow, uphill, whatever. More books. Another amazing classic. I did read this in school suspension. Thank you, Fort Zumwalt North, for the education. I read a lot in school suspension. One day I'll tell the one day when we get a chat, I'll tell the story about how I cried in front of all the scary kids in middle school because I read Where the Red Fern Grows and no one warned me. So I warn you now, all of you, do not read Where the Red Fern Grows in school suspension. So anyway, that was about Wizard of Earthsea. Great book. Ursula K. Le Guin. She's just huge in fantasy fiction. You can't be a fantasy nerd and not know who this person is. So speaking of people that every nerd knows, Terry Pratchett. I've not actually read any of the Discworld series. I know of the Discworld, not well enough that I get like the jokes and the memes and all the culture and whatnot. But I hope to someday remedy that. There's just a lot of them because they've been around forever. I think this is like, it says somewhere on here, like the 26th novel, which is, I mean, that's a lot, but not a ton as far as some of these people go. But anyway, that's that. More books. I really like books. It's the best of humanity. So this is again just vintage sci-fi. I have no idea who that person is. Liked the cover. Impulse. We all know this guy, the guy that created a religion after telling everybody that the best way to make money off people was to create a religion. So, not to make fun, but I don't know. Battlefield Earth. It is a good book. I did read it. It's a good book. It's very nice. I actually did like the movie too with John Travolta. I thought his character was ridiculous and it was very campy and B movie-ish, but it was a good ride. Terry Brooks of Shannara fame. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Just a very prolific author. Just huge, like sort of that whole series, amazing. I don't know what the hell this book's about, but obviously this says Gullible's Travels and not Gulliver's Travels, which is the classic fiction novel that we're all aware of with big dude gets pinned down with the little people, that whole deal. So I'm gonna give I don't know, it's not a light read. That's a commitment. So I might look up a couple of reviews on this one before I decide whether it goes right into the booth or into the TBR pile for a while. And for the uninitiated, the TBR pile is to be read. To be read. My pile is not insignificant. Terry Goodkind, The Faith of the Fallen. I believe this is the Richard Rahl and all that series. Yeah, Wizard's First Rule. So this book actually was pretty early on in my fantasy fiction journey. I read not necessarily this book here, but this Wizard's First Rule, which is the first book in the series, Sword of Truth series. Yep. But I thought Wizard's First Rule was cool, like the premise. Obviously, the book is called Wizard's First Rule, but there was actually a wizard that had rules, and his first rule was mentioned in the book in his. And I'm paraphrasing, and of course, now that I'm trying to recall it on purpose, I can't. But something along the lines of, people will always believe what they're afraid to believe and what they want to believe. Right? So, and then the example that's given in the book is, and I'll just kind of paraphrase it so I don't get bogged in the details, but basically is if I run up to you and I said, oh my God, I have this incurable issue, my life's falling apart, you would not question me, right? Because you're afraid not to believe it, right? It's so terrifying and it's so soul-shattering. Why would I ever say something like that unless it were true? So your brain, and my brain, and most brains, we're going to give that person the benefit of the doubt. But unfortunately, with people with bad intentions, that emotion can be easily manipulated. And you see it all the time when they tell you this horrible thing is happening here or there. And anyway, so that's one part of the rule. And then the other part of the rule is you're afraid to believe, or excuse me, you'll believe what you want to believe. And actually the Bible refers to this as the scratching of itching ears, right? So like COVID, for example, I'll just say it. It's not over. It's a problem. The world's kind of on fire right now, but nobody's really aware because nobody's talking about it. Everybody wants it to be over, regardless of whether it is. It's that scratching of itching ears, right? And I'm sure I'm going to get lambasted and yelled, and somebody's going to try and cancel me, or whatever. You just watch all the media briefings of the World Health Organization in the last couple of days on top of everywhere else and all over the world. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Wizard's First Rule, which is we believe what we want to believe, right? And sometimes we don't necessarily check. This is another way to look at this is confirmation bias, right? And we all fall for it. I fall for it. You fall for it. No, none of us are special. We just have to be aware that it exists. And I love this series because throughout the series, it kind of peppered these logical little nuggets that, and that's why books are so great because, each of the authors kind of imparting whatever knowledge that they've kind of gleaned over the years. And it's like having skill books or experience points books in a video game. You just go ding, and boom, your head explodes. It's fantastic. Read more books. Right? Anne Rice. We all know Anne Rice. I know nothing about what's going on in that one. And McCaffrey of Dragon Riders of Pern fame. Another series. It's wonderful. Tons of books. Another science fiction in the 50s. I love anthologies and I love short stories. They're easy and quick to consume. I love throwing a little short story book in my car. Like if I'm waiting for somebody or I hate waiting in line, but it's not as bad when I have a book. Of course, you can always bust out your phone too. Same thing, but nothing, books are better. Plus, you can get anyway. Not the time to make the sales pitch for reading in general. L. Ron Hubbard. Same guy. Battlefield Earth dude. Dianetics is his religion. Xenu and all that. Little aliens on your face. Look it up. I'm not making this up. Death of a Salesman. I got two of them. We have Conan. Conan has been around forever. His first appearance was in a pulp magazine. Like, I don't want to say pulp magazine, but Savage Tales or something or other. His first experience, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's all over the place. But I believe he was in a book first. Like, he was. Anyway, don't quote me on that. I'm gonna have to fact check myself. I thought this was neat, just with how famous Hamilton has been forever now, and every once in a while, my Puerto Rican brother is in the news, so. Even though this is not about the play, this is actually about Alexander Hamilton. So, Pokemon, War of the. Ooh, can you see that even? Oh, I need to make some space. So this next one's War of the Worlds. H.G. Wells, written forever ago. I think when my wife, I showed her this copy of this book because it's illustrated. Let me pull up the, big one. Ooh, I still need to zoom that out. I'm still getting used to this camera. Anyway, but like horse and carriages and mention, this was written so long ago. Just really neat, large print. Really cool illustrations. I love old school illustrations. They're very Art Deco-y in this one. Oh, you can't even see that. Look at me. Look at me just enjoying all the stuff. Anyway, we all know War of the Worlds. Tom Cruise did a movie. Aliens come, like the flu kills them. They weren't vaccinated. Oh, the aliens should have got vaccinated. I'm going to get canceled. I haven't even started yet. Oh, wait, let's bring back my face. Hello, everyone. Steve, the book guy. So this is Lady Chatterley's Lover. You know what? I've not read this, and it's a super famous book, and I should absolutely know the synopsis of it. I guess I can just read it. Lyric and sensual. D.H. Lawrence's last novel is one of the major works of fiction of the 20th century. Scenes of intimate beauty, Constance Chatterley tenderly explores the emotions of a lonely woman trapped in a sterile marriage and her growing love for the robust gamekeeper of her husband's estate. Okay, so she steps out on her dude. Being in a loveless marriage. It's interesting because, like, no, you'd give advice to somebody in this situation now, but, like, you also have to contextually understand, women didn't have the same options. I'm not condoning anyway. I've not read this, so I'm like, I shouldn't really have an opinion at all, but but colloquially, just make sure you read things in the context they were written to understand them. Wonder Woman, love that cover. It's also a comic book cover. Then we got about half a milk crate left, and then we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to try to stay on point, do exactly what I came to do, and then get out of here. For everybody, we keep these short. Truth is out there. We got the official X-Files guide. This was cool. I think this is kind of an indie author. I've never seen this cover. I thought the art was super neat, which is what stuck out to me. Where rocket ships run on coffee and dumb luck. It does seem like this is for adults. So I will put it high. But the cover's clean, so, no problem. It's not illustrated or anything. So next we have again, another Terry Pratchett. This is another Discworld novel. Again, hugely prolific, super 16th Discworld novel. Wonderful world. That art is just super red. Ooh, bang, bang. I think one of my kids just learned to fly or something. Anyway, the rad art. I really like that cover. This actually is a banned book. I don't know why. I've not actually read it. Apparently, James and the Giant Peach has had its issues too. Eventually, I'm going to do a series on each banned book and kind of go into why each book was banned and the lawsuits in the court. I really, really am against banning books. And that is kind of what this channel is going to be about a little bit. Not a lot of it, because we really are about getting books in people's hands first and foremost. But got to have the hard conversations, and you got to have, and I think I'm pretty fair. Like, I understand that, like, middle school I get more than anything. Like, young age, you got a lot of varied development. And, of course, there's people that are professionals that can show you data that could delineate all this, and we should go with that. But high school, I'm a lot, like, I don't think almost anything should be banned in high school. Because they're 18. Sometimes by the time they're out. And, like, come on, we have to get them ready for that, and we need to give them as many tools while they're under adult supervision as we can. Now, I'm not saying everybody should have access to but I am though. Like, it's tough. It's tough. It's a conversation, and I have that conversation a lot. But just know that you don't get to tell me what's moral and what's not. That's not who gets to do that. And that really is what it comes down to. Battle Mage, Peter Flannery. Thought it was cool. Big boy. It's had battle and magic in it. I was sold. So can't go wrong with that. Salinger. He wrote Catcher in the Rye. I have no idea what Franny and Zooey is about, and there's no back, so I haven't read it. But it's Salinger. So it can't be bad, right? That's not true. Some really good authors have written some really bad books, and that's okay. No judgment. I have written no books. No books. No judgment from this guy. I like to read the books, though. So here's Anne McCaffrey again, and this actually is a Dragon Rider of Pern novel, so that's cool. Huge C.S. Lewis fan. One of my first series was Narnia Chronicles, like a lot of people's are. All 7 books had the little slipcase set. Still come across them every now and then. Nostalgia. Anyway, Pilgrim's Regress. This is illustrated. I wish my kid would stop doing that. Right after this stream, I'm going to go flying elbow drop him from whatever he keeps dropping on the floor. All right, last 4 books. We are going to come back, I think, either tomorrow or the next day, maybe Friday morning. I'm trying to come up with a schedule that works, but my life's kind of all over the place. Not written by, edited by the big name to sell the book. Go marketing team. Tale of Two Cities. Really recommend reading this book. It's like in my next 2 books to read. I'm not going to say a whole lot about it. It's classic. So that I don't know a lot about it because I haven't read it yet. It's on my list. I had this really beautiful Oxford Dickens set that had like all 27 or 37 of his novels, and that really motivated me to get on the horse. I've actually not read any Dickens yet. House on Mango Street, I thought this was neat. It's about a young Hispanic lady kind of growing up and kind of what that experience is growing up as a Latina. It's different when you're not white, guys. It really is. It's, especially when you're living. I don't know if this is about that though. Oh yeah. It is kind of. Told in a series of vignettes, sometimes heartbreaking, sometimes deeply joyous, is the story of a young Latina girl growing up in Chicago, inventing for herself who and what she will become. So Chicago's a melting pot. She had all the cultures there for sure. So, but it is different because, like, and I'm not saying it's bad or anybody did anything wrong, but to say it's not different would be lying. And that's not something I'm willing to do. You got to adapt. But Treasure Island, it's Treasure Island. Reader's Digest did a huge run of these. I think it was kind of there, and this one is a little dinged up, not too bad. I think it was kind of their competition to that International Collectors Library editions, which I love. I got a bunch of them over there. But anyway, this is again just going back to kind of the sensuality of vintage sci-fi. There you go. There's your artwork. So it is what it is, and that actually is, I think that is actually all the books that I'm going to talk about today. This entire stack is going to be up in the Town Square Antique Mall, which is up by the Sherwin-Williams and the Enterprise up in Wentzville. You go, over the overpass by, past Walmart, past the Bank of America, and then you go over the overpass where like Bandanas is, right? And just keep going, and it's on your left. You can't miss it. There's like 200 vendors in there, not just mine. I sell a lot of geek stuff, books, Funkos, my wife's art, my art, and just kind of plethora of just cool things we find in our adventures. Yeah, and we always consider offers. Not everything in there is super cheap, and if I've missed the pricing a little bit, just don't beat me up too bad. Jeff and Claire is super nice. Other than that, I will be back on Friday. I got a little window space in the thing, and I've had it for a while. I felt like I'm not using it effectively. So what I'm gonna do, I used it for photos for a while. I used it for Funko Pops for a while, but I think what I'm gonna do is, because it's got whatever's in there is gonna be slower moving, right? Because it's such a pain to get things in and out of the case. So whatever it is, it's got to be cool. So what I'm going to do is actually go through some of the more expensive comics, and I'm going to decide tonight or tomorrow, and by Friday morning I'll have decided which ones I'm going to put in there, and I'll come back on maybe an hour before I head up, and I'll show you the books, and I'll tell you what time I'm there in case you want to be there right away. But I have a couple of Moon Knight #1s that could go up there. I have a first appearance of Silk that could go in there. I have a first appearance of Black Manta that can go in there. I have some Golden Age that can go in there. God, I have to look. Anyway, some nice stuff. I've been collecting inventory for the last couple of years, and we're ready to move that inventory on to some new folks. So, thanks for hanging out. I hope to make this more of a regular thing. Appreciate you hanging out if you did. If not, I got to say some words and stuff. So that's always a win. Thank you.